Welcome to the EOB Podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Ben No, and joining me is Santo. So, San, Happy New Year's 2017.
Right, Happy New Year's. Everyone's hoping that 2017 will be a better year. At least more than half of the country.
All right, so we have the new president coming in.
Yeah, so, more than half of the country is kind of anxious and fearful.
Understandable.
Yeah, and of course, the other half is, I guess they're going to have a good year.
Before we get to the box office, we're dragging this out because Box Office Mojo site is in the process of updating, right? We don't have the numbers. But let's talk about this coming year, what to expect. And the things that will dominate the headlines probably won't be movies. It'll be what our new president will bring, right? And as you said, right now, half the country are really happy and half of the country are dreading what's going to happen.
Right. Well, who knows, right?
Well, yeah, we don't know what things will bring, right? We have to give him a chance to perform.
I think with everything, it's not to think in extremities like, oh no, the world's going to end, because of him. People forget that Donald Trump used to be a Democrat. He used to be good friends with celebrities. Sometimes I feel like the things he say, he's just saying it to get a reaction from people.
Well, yeah, he's an entertainer. And, I think he is beyond one party or the other. He would pretty much say anything, do anything to get what he wants.
I think after he won, a lot of Democrats are like, oh, it's all those working class people who are, fed up with the elitists and we're not appealing to them. But the thing they forget is Donald Trump. Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor of California.
Exactly.
And they forget the celebrity aspect of this. And the thing is, a lot of people watch The Apprentice. A lot of people like him. They find him entertaining. Just like a lot of people found Arnold entertaining.
Yes. If we go back even further, right? Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. And Ronald Reagan wasn't even an A-list star. He was like one of those B-list movie stars. You can't even call him a movie star. Ronald Reagan was just one of these, actors that are in B movies.
Yeah, I think people forget about the celebrity aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like those people who voted, at least most don't really read the news, follow the news that much, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know who these people are, but they do watch TV, they do watch these entertainment shows, and hey, who's there? Yeah. Donald Trump. He's always in the news one way or the other.
You're right. I find it interesting that a lot of analysts doesn't include the celebrity aspect of it because after Barack Obama won over Mitt Romney about 4 years ago, Republicans did this huge analysis. They come up with, look, we got to appeal more to the minorities. We got to be a little bit less extreme about our positions on, all these things that eventually lost him the election. And then Donald Trump comes out and he's like, forget about minorities. He's blasting minorities left and right. He's pissing everyone off. He's doing the exact opposite of what the analysts recommended after the Republicans lost. And now the Democrats are doing the same thing. They look at it and go, oh, we're not appealing to these working class people. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's just the celebrity aspect of it. Donald Trump did pretty much the exact opposite of what all these Republican analysts, after lots of research and lots of breaking down the numbers and lots of, I'm sure, meetings, they came up with a strategy on how to win in 2016. And, Donald Trump just pissed all over it. He did almost the exact opposite of what that report suggested they should do. And he won. And
Right. Only because he had this cult of personality, right?
Yeah.
He has all these years to build up his brand, his celebrity.
Yeah.
And that's the only way. If another politician, professional politician, did what he did, he'll be laughed out.
But yeah, I think one of these, I guess people forget that the uniqueness and the celebrities factor because Barack Obama was pretty unique. He's a great speaker. He's the first, he was already the first black president. He projects, intelligence. He projects confidence. He projects dignity. And, he's very different from a lot of politicians. He has a uniqueness about him. Sure, Hillary Clinton is unique in that, she could be the first female president. But in terms of overall personality, she is pretty bland. And, she did miss out on a few I mean, she eventually did win the popular vote by 2% by a lot, but because of our electoral system, she lost. Again, people forget that when you're going against a generic politician, someone like Donald Trump, who's a celebrity, who has all these followers, who has all these people who admire him because of his success, analysts forget that, that's a big chunk of people.
Yeah, that's true. But I think another thing that worked against Hillary is that her, I guess, length of service. They've seen her
that's
for so
true.
many years.
Yeah.
And, all the goods and bad are exposed, about her.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's another factor is that people who voted for Trump, they're not voting for Trump per se. They're voting for the next Supreme Court justice as well.
I don't buy into. I mean, sure, all these little things are true, but I think people don't talk. What the analysts don't talk enough about is this, the whole celebrity aspect of it. Kind of like what the Republicans talked about in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with any candidate, there's got to be some uniqueness about them.
Okay, yeah, I think we spoke too much about politics. I mean, since the site is back, we probably should get going on it. But I think one thing that's good about Trump, it's a good test of our political framework with all the check and balances set up to see how well it works. I think he will stress it, and he will test how well it works, with all the different branches checking each other. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, let's move on to something more relevant to our podcast.
Right, the main stuff. Unless you guys want to hear about us talk politics, we can switch it up. We don't particularly mind. Okay, so we are going by the 3-day figure since I think January 2nd is off for a lot of people as well. But we're just going with the December 30th to January 1st figures, the 3-day weekend.
Let's do it.
How about you bring us in the number one movie of 2017 at the box office?
For the third weekend in a row is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We pulled in $49.5 million over the weekend. The drop off is only about 23% from last weekend, which is typical during the winter holidays. So far, it has already grossed $425 million after just 3 weeks of release. It's already, of 2016, it is already the second highest grossing film of that year, behind Finding Dory. The worldwide figure is at $790 million.
Yeah, if you look at it, this movie just steamrolls everybody.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect it to do that well, right? You think it would probably do a little bit less than the mainline story. All the episode 7, 8.
Well,
9,
it's gonna. The weird thing is the Force Awakens was such a anomaly that even as well as Rogue One is doing, it's still about 40 or 50% off how Force Awakens was performing at the same time.
Right. That's because they have all the original people returning for the movie. This one is a spin-off.
Yeah, as a spin-off, this is doing really, really well.
Yeah, I think it's beyond anyone's imagination, right? I mean, we knew that it would do well, but it's almost like a franchise by itself. Take the Star Wars name out of it, right?
Here's a crazy thing though. You think that of all the properties that Disney owns, Marvel, Pixar, and the Disney Animation, and their own films, Star Wars is looking like it's gonna be the biggest of the big. Even a spin-off like this, looks like it'll probably end up making 550 to 600 million when it's all said and done domestically. And this is just, a spin-off.
Yeah, I mean, Disney bought Lucasfilms for like $4 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? They bought Pixar for about the same amount.
Yeah.
And the bigger return is the Star Wars. I mean, you can always do all these sequels for Pixar's movie, but with the Star Wars universe, you can create new stories.
Yeah, it looks like so far it's
with
looking
all these
good.
new characters.
Yeah. So far it's looking good.
And they're jumping back and forth in time too.
Yeah. Well, here's another interesting thing is they got Star Wars kind of after after George Lucas did the prequels. And although the prequels all did pretty well, they all made 300 to 400 million. They all did really well, but boy, I mean, who would ever thought that, hey, if you just leave George Lucas out the creative route and just hand this universe to other talents that it's going to be this huge.
Well, we knew that. We said that before. That George Lucas was, you could say, even though he's the creator, he was the weakest link. Because he sucked at writing dialogues.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was out of practice with directing, but he's tasked with doing those duties anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Because people just don't. I think the pressure. Maybe he wanted to other people to do it, but people just don't feel like ruining.
Well,
because expectations were so high, ruining. What was the.
Well, the thing is, he has a problem letting go. It sounded like he has a problem of letting go of his. This is his baby, and he didn't want to let it go, and that's why he did the prequels. He felt like he's the only one who can do it.
And then one day he sat down and watched the movie, say, "Okay, I need to go."
No, he that's the thing. He still. I think he was just looking to retire, finally retire, because even after the J.J. Abrams, the Force Awakens, he had mixed feelings about it. I think mixed negative.
Yeah, he said you should do new stuff with it.
Yeah, and he also one thing, and he also complained that he had a whole story outline written for them, and they didn't follow any of it. They just kind of took it and shelved it, or when he walked out of the room, they probably threw it in the trash.
They probably didn't take his calls anymore, right?
Yeah. So it seemed like it was kind of ambivalent, and negative, on the negative side. So he still had trouble letting go, but I guess he just got recently married, and it sounded like he wanted to enjoy his life and let things go finally.
Well, yeah, but you can see that his heart wasn't in it anymore. I felt that.
I'm not sure if his heart wasn't in it anymore. It's just that he's been focused on the special, on IOM for all this time after Star Wars, and it's just out of practice. And people forget that when he first started, he did indie movies, and they were pretty well. They were pretty well received. Just after Star Wars, I think part of it is after Star Wars, I think people expect every movie that he does to be breaking records. And, eventually when he came out retirement to do the prequels, they did do really well. But like you said, part of it is he's probably out of practice. And when you're out of practice, you do lose that skill. It is a skill that kind of deteriorates if you don't put it into practice.
Yeah, it's muscle. You need to keep on doing it, keep on honing it, right? So, and after so many years, and then they asked him to direct.
Well, not they asked him; he wanted to. I think if they had their choice, they would probably say, "Hey, we'll get you write us the outline. We'll get some script doctors to fix it up, or you give us your story. We'll rewrite it, and we'll get a director for you. You just produce it." I think if the studios have their choice, they would do it that way. But I think George Lucas was just like, "Hey, this is my
here's
baby.
What
no one else should touch it."
Right, maybe. But here's what I think. I think he wanted another director to do it, but he will look over that director and tell him what to do. And I don't think the any director wanted that, and that's why he ended up directing it himself.
Could be.
I think he knew that he's kind of out of it, but I guess any director wouldn't want someone basically directing from behind the back, second guessing their judgment call. So right. I think that's why he didn't. Anyway, okay,
yeah. Enough digression.
Yeah, we talk more about George Lucas.
than Rogue One, the Star Wars story.
Rogue One story. Yeah, okay. Like I said, Christmas is gonna be Star Wars from here on out.
Yeah, and when just based on how Rogue One, a spin-off, is doing, no one will touch December 16th. I don't care if it's DC and Marvel joint forces. Even then, they would be afraid of the Force.
Right. We're gonna see Will Smith romances from here on out, opposite Rogue One. I mean, the Star Wars movies.
Yeah. I don't think anyone will challenge. Will get anywhere near December 16th for the next several years, probably, right?
Oh, okay. What? Maybe, but our second movie did challenge Star Wars and it did okay.
Yeah, it did pretty well. Yeah, our second movie is Sing, kind of. Illuminations take on American Idol with cute animals. It pulled in $42.8 million over the weekend. That's even better than last weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. after 2 weeks of release, it has already grossed 166 million on a relatively modest budget of 75 million.
Yeah, and that is the thing to look at is the modest budget is all pretty much all Illumination movies, all kind of around the 75 million range.
Right.
And they did really well domestic and overseas, and that's why I say that Illumination found a formula that works for them, and Sing is another one.
Yes. Speaking of overseas, the worldwide figure is at 278 million.
Yep, and I think all these contemporary songs helped a lot.
Yep. At first, I had low expectations of this. I was like, American Idol is already off the air and people have already been, they're kind of tired of it. Who knew that all you have to do is throw in some cute animals?
Well, look at Happy Feet. It's pretty much the same thing, except that it takes place in, it has this story about saving the environment attached to it. Right, but it's pretty much like one song to another.
Yeah, and
contemporary songs, and Sing is another one.
Yeah, and this is doing way better than Happy Feet.
Warner Brothers right there. Darn, we should have did another Happy Feet.
Yeah. They did. They didn't do that well. Yeah, the second Happy Feet didn't do that well.
Yeah, okay, maybe they got away from that the songs, but who knows? Anyway, maybe Sings will end up the same way, right? If there's a sequel, maybe hey, we've seen it. We don't want to listen to more songs.
Right.
So. All right, how about number 3? Passengers, the sci-fi movie starring Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. In the second weekend, it pulled in about 16 million. 61 domestic so far. The budget is 110. I thought it might not reach its production budget domestically, but I don't know. What do you think?
It only has about one more good week before it drops off quickly. No, it's not going to reach its production budget. I think tops is probably 90 million, which is kind of close to 110 million. So if it can do slightly better overseas, it can recoup its budget.
Yeah, I think this movie will do better than here overseas. So I think it will recoup its budget.
People are disappointed that, you have Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. People are expecting bigger things. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence did all of those Hunger Games movies, gross between 300 to 400 million. Chris Pratt has got Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic World. So people expect that you put these two talents together that they would get a bigger opening. But and I thought that initially the reactions to the trailer were good, but apparently there's not that much interest.
Well, I said that this movie doesn't need 110 million budget to tell. So basically two people, trying to woo each other, get to know each other, and then they just add this sci-fi element and explosions at the end.
Yeah, but I think the budget for Gravity is around the same thing.
Yeah, but that is kind of like a different movie, right? It's more, space plays a part in that, I think.
Like with this, you didn't feel like the space element is necessary?
Yeah, it doesn't add much to the things, because with space, it's about distance, it's about connections.
I could see how, it could be an element. You're in space, you're two people, you woke up, and everyone else is still hibernating or cryogenically frozen, whatever. But if you're two people in space and there's no one else, it could be interesting to tell, I could see it. But I could see the concept. They're like, what if it's, it's kind of like, what if two people were stuck in an island type of thing.
Yeah, they could do it on an island.
Well, but they already did that. What is it? What's that Bookshio movie?
Oh, Blue Lagoon?
Yeah. Wasn't it just her and some guy stuck on an island? Yes,
and there are a couple others as well with more famous people. But you could even imagine this as two people who working in, like a same building, same company, and they're isolated from other people, and then just them, meeting up.
But they want to do it in space.
Well.
They want to do it in space.
Okay, that's what I mean. Look, if this movie was made for 45 million. This figure is pretty good.
Yeah.
Box office performance is pretty good. You don't need space. You don't need the 110 million budget for this movie. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
But it will do well overseas, so it will recoup it back.
We shall see. We shall see.
Okay, we shall see. But I'm pretty sure that it will do better overseas than here.
Because it is promoted as more of a romance, and we both know that action adventure is the best category overseas, and this has some of that element, but the core of it is a romance. So I'm not sure how well that sells. I don't think it's a as guarantee as if both Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt are in the beginning, or dodging explosions and blowing away aliens. If that happens, it might be more of a guarantee hit. But
I mean, they just cut the trailer to make it look like a wall-to-wall action.
True.
Starwood explosion and keep exploding, until the end of the trailer.
And people like, yeah, right.
Right, different movie.
Yeah, bait and switch.
Yep, that's what it is. Okay, we'll see how it will do overseas.
All right, let's move on
to number 4, Moana. It pulled in about 11 million over the weekend. So far, its domestic gross is 210, and its worldwide take is 402 million.
Still holding up during the holidays. Another huge hit for Disney animation.
Yeah, but it's not as big as some of the recent Disney animation, at least not yet.
Yeah, not as big as Frozen.
Not as big as Frozen, and not as big as Zootopia.
Yeah, Zootopia, yeah.
You need to put in more cute animals.
Yeah, but good enough. And it's good that they're not just doing cute animals, otherwise everyone's going to get sick of them.
Right, I mean, mainly the animators, right? Because god damn it, I'm tired of drawing bunnies.
Yeah.
Alright, number 5. It's the comedy Why Him? Starring James Franco as this internet billionaire, and it's kind of like Meet the Fockers, except that it's in reversed, right? James Franco is the crazy guy, and Bryan Cranston plays the normal guy, the father who's trying to stop his daughter from marrying James Franco.
Yeah, in a weird way, this movie kind of snuck up on me. I was like, oh, James Franco has a movie out.
I guess they didn't do any promotion for this movie, but pulled in about 11 million in the second weekend. It was open on Friday, so we I didn't do any previews for it. It had a 11 million opening, which is pretty decent. The budget is only 38 million.
And it's already at 35 million domestically, so it's gonna make money. It'll make money on video.
Right. I mean, you expect, who's that guy? The guy who always bare his abs.
What? The guy who always what?
Efren bare his abs.
Zac
Efron. Yeah, you expect him to be in this movie, but it's actually James Franco.
Yeah, that's why this is not tanking.
Oh no. No, you didn't. Okay. Alright, number 6 is a movie called Fences. It's directed by Denzel Washington. He also starred in it, and also stars Viola Davis.
And it's doing very well and having a very good word of mouth.
Yeah, it pulled in about 10 million over the weekend, and it didn't open that well. Let's see, in this limited opening, it only pulled in 129K, and then it went wide last weekend. That one did about 11 million.
Yeah, on a budget of just 24 million, it's already surpassed its budget by 8 million. But when it opened on limited, it did decent. The per screen average was 32,000. That's actually pretty solid. It was one of those movies that were mentioned in the awards circle. And it's doing so well, it looks like it might be one of those films that will eventually get some awards. Or at least nominated.
Yeah, maybe it'll get nominated based on who's in it.
Yeah,
who's directing it.
But it might not win.
Yeah, just to add some diversity.
Yeah. But what this has over the other films is it's doing really well. For a kind of indie film, if you can call it that, with Denzel Washington starring in it.
Well, he's also directing as well, so you could say it is an indie film, and he's only be able to make it for that much because he's starring.
Yeah, he's probably taking a huge paycheck. A huge pay cut to make this for 24 million. And the budget for this isn't the typical Denzel Washington movie, because his films tend to be budgeted at 60 million, around that range, and this is less than half of that. And it's doing pretty well. Denzel Washington is written and directed by him, right? Or is it just directed by him?
No, someone else wrote it.
Okay, so he stars and directs.
Right.
Okay.
But hey, not many people can make a successful transition between directing and acting.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll eventually or maybe he'll end up being like Clint Eastwood, where he directs more than he acts as he gets older.
Maybe later, but he's
Yeah,
still
he's still
not
a
there
draw.
at that point
He's still
yet.
a huge draw. But Clint Eastwood was still a draw though. That's the thing. Even at his advanced age, like Gran Torino made about 130 million.
Yeah, he just that face. Once you have a face, you can continue to milk it, right? That unforgettable face. So that's why he could make a Gran Torino and still do really well. He can still play the part.
Right.
Pretty much.
All right, let's move on to number 7. Another limited release that went wide. It's going wide. La La Land. We talked about it in previous weeks. This is probably the most hyped in terms of the award season. It's getting great reviews, getting great notices on in the award circle. It did 9.5 million over the weekend. It expanded to 750 theaters. After 4 weeks of release, it has already grossed 34 million on a budget of 30 million and looks like it's still going strong. The per screen average, when it expanded to 750 theaters, is still very strong, about 13,000. Compared to all the films in the top 10, it's actually the highest. Usually when these films expand, the per screen average drop pretty low, but this one is still pretty high, still pretty solid.
Yep, it's one of those movies that benefits from these platform release, the word of mouth spread, and it's the type of movie. Like I said, it has singing, has dancing. It's a musical as well, kind of like you're watching a stage production.
Yeah, no, we don't see many of these. The good thing is when there is one, it's a good one. And the only time when we see musicals nowadays is when like Moana, when Disney puts out an animated feature. So this is a live action musical, kind of a romance starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, and it's doing really well, getting great acclaim. And I wonder how much they're going to expand now. Are they gonna go to 1,500 to 2,000 theaters? I'm not sure, but
I think they will. I think they eventually will, because this is it. This is the award push. They're gonna go for it. And this is I feel La La Land, and along with Manchester by the Sea, or two of the front runners for all these awards.
Right.
I'm not just talking about Oscars, right?
Yeah.
One of these movies will win best comedy.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So
right.
they're gonna go for it. There's no holding back. I think they're gonna expand even wider than 750.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Coming in number 8.
Right, and not as successful as the previous 2 films, but also not an indie film, is Assassin's Creed at 8.6 million. It has done roughly 40 million domestically after 2 weeks of release. The only problem with this film is its budget is 125 million, and I don't know why they would put that much money into it, because video game adaptations haven't proved very successful critically or commercially in the US.
Well, with a couple few
Yeah,
exceptions.
with a couple
but
few.
Assassin's Creed is not.
It's not one of them. The biggest one is probably Tomb Raider. Warcraft did well in China, but nowhere else.
Yeah, and there's also what's that thing with Mila Jovovich?
Resident Evil. Yeah. Okay, Resident Evil.
Resident Evil and the forthcoming Underworld movie.
Wait, was it
those are based
Underworld?
on
Underworld wasn't a video game movie. A video game, I don't think.
I think
I don't think so. I don't think it's a video game.
Oh, okay. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But okay, let's go with that for now.
Yeah, but even the Resident Evil movies, the budget for those films have only been like 50, 60 million. And those films domestically only do about 50 to 60 million. But overseas they make 100 million or so, and they budget accordingly. But this one, maybe they were too enamored by Michael Fassbender in the X-Men movies, and they're thinking, hey, he's in the X-Men movies, and those movies are making 200 million and more than $500 million overseas. Maybe we can throw in 125 million, but they forget that Michael Fassbender is still not a draw outside of the X-Men movies, and the X-Men movies are largely based on the brand, not its stars, especially the later ones.
Right. And I think the reason why World of Warcraft or Warcraft did so well
in China
is this huge online
in China.
Well, yeah, okay.
Only in
Caveat.
Only in China.
Right. Yeah, that country skews everything, but
yeah,
it did really well in China. I think mainly because it's one of these huge online games.
Right.
I mean, online games. Yeah, people meet each other, play with each other. But Assassin's Creed is one of those single player games.
Okay, you know what? I take my word back. It did well in China and in other foreign countries, except the U.S.
Well, anyway, these online games are huge overseas as well. They're like this huge gaming segment in, we heard about people dying from online games, right? This huge player base, and I guess that builds into that as well, and I think Dan Wu was in it, right?
Right.
Yeah, so there's a connection there.
Yeah.
But Assassin's Creed, I personally don't see it doing well overseas, maybe. But who knows? Maybe it will be big in China again as well.
Right.
And then we'll see an Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah. At its current weight, no, but yeah. But if it does 200 million in China, then we'll be like, all right.
Right. They just make video game movies for China.
Yeah.
And they're really successful. Look, I mean, what Warcraft made over 300 million?
No, just 200 million, I think.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 200 million. I don't think 300.
Oh yeah, 220 million.
Yeah.
Okay, close enough. It's still huge,
yeah,
right?
it's huge.
All right. So we have to look out for China to see if we will see any sequels to Assassin's Creed. But by the way it's going here, no.
Not likely. And I don't think Assassin's Creed had any, Chinese actors in it. So, and I'm not sure how
we
big,
don't know.
And I'm not sure how big of a game it is in China because I know Warcraft is pretty big in China.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed is one of those big franchises. It has a couple of games. But again, as we said, once it gets transferred, made into a movie, we don't know how it will perform because on the surface, the premise looks silly.
Yeah,
sounds silly.
Yeah, it does.
But as a video game, it's okay. Do you want to watch a movie based on that? So,
well, I heard that Assassin's Creed is more of a action adventure game, and there's not much of a story in it. So I guess when they converted that into a movie, it shows.
Right. The gameplay normally doesn't translate to just passively watching, especially Michael Fassbender doing action.
Right. All right, let's move on to number 9, Manchester by the Sea. We mentioned previously that it's a contender in the award season. It pulled in 4.2 million over the weekend. After 7 weeks of platform release, it has done 28.5 million, which is pretty good. Actually, very good for an indie movie.
Right, and rounding out the top 10 is Collateral Beauty, the Will Smith drama. Pulled in about 4.1 million over the weekend. So far, domestic gross is only about 26 million. Budget is 36 million. And the worldwide take is only 46. So when Will Smith in his drama mode normally makes about this much, especially when it's not a romantic comedy, one of those.
Yeah, Concussion was one of his lowest, and that did around 30 million. So this is even worse than that. But even 7 Pounds ended up doing like 70 million or something, and that was a pure drama. Well, Collateral Beauty is also such a strange movie too, like I mentioned in previous weeks. So not sure if we can put this one on Will Smith.
Yeah, you could say like even with the movie Focus, right? Him as a grifter, who's training, Margot Robbie. That did.
That did okay.
Well,
50 million domestically and 150 million worldwide, and they only did the movie for 50 million. So that was actually pretty successful when you look, in terms of budget to total box office.
Yeah, and when you look at Collateral Beauty, the subject matter, maybe people just don't wanna watch a movie about someone dealing with grief, even though it stars Will Smith and others.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. 7 Pounds is about the same thing. He's dealing with grief, but this one, is strange. He's talking to these abstract figures. So I'm sure people will maybe it seem a little too weird to the Will Smith fan base.
People are calling bullshit, maybe.
It's interesting, but some things read better on paper than on screen.
Right. And this is one of it. But I think it's still gonna, I don't know.
It probably won't look,
okay.
worldwide. I think eventually worldwide it might still end up making a few bucks because of its relatively low budget.
As we know from previous movies, it not doing well here doesn't mean anything anymore, you know.
For certain films.
We don't know. We don't know
Yeah.
if Collateral Beauty is one of those films.
Right.
Okay, then how about we move on to the new releases this weekend? As we said, we have the new Underworld movie. I think the 5th one in the series, called Blood Wars. Stars Kate Beckinsale. Then expansion for a movie called Hidden Figures, and A Monster Calls.
Okay, let's start with Underworld.
Underworld. Kate Beckinsale stars as a vampire who hunts other vampires and has to battle werewolves.
Right. On Rotten Tomatoes, the reading is 10% after about 20 reviews, which is, I think, typical by, this is the 5th film in the franchise. And the franchise as a whole wasn't well reviewed. I think they tend to be in the 30% range. So 10% by the 5th film is kind of like, the fans of the series will probably watch it. I mean, it seems like the last one, on a worldwide scale, the Underworld films have done better and better, including the last one. The last one, worldwide, it did, I think, 160 million or something like that. And domestically, it made 50 or 60 million. And that's why we're seeing a 5th one. I think domestically, it made in the 50 to 60 million range, but overseas, it went from like 80 million to 160 million. Yeah, so that's why we're seeing a 5th one.
Right, it made a lot of money overseas.
Just like the Resident Evil movies. They do okay here.
Right, I think Mila Jovovich promised that this is going to be the final one, but if it did really well, I'm sure we're going to see another one.
And Kate Beckinsale haven't had anything else done well other than these films. So.
Well, she doesn't need to.
That's true, I guess.
I mean, she had this movie to milk.
Yeah, right.
As we know, Liam Neeson is not doing the January releases anymore.
Oh, that's true. So someone's got to...
Yeah, now we have Kate Beckinsale picking up the
slack
and running with it.
Right.
So, what do you think?
These movies have been consistent, especially the ones starring Kate Beckinsale.
Well, the last movie, Underworld Awakening, had a 25 million opening. That was back in 2012.
Yeah, and that was an improvement over the one in 2009, which is about 21 million. But that one didn't star Kate Beckinsale.
Right.
Underworld 2 did opened to 27 million, and the first Underworld opened to 22 million. So it's weird. Every time I'm like, do they still care? It's the 5th film. But it's been very consistent so far. And, worldwide it's been making a lot more. I'm just going to go with franchise fatigue because it's been happening all year long, 2016. A lot of franchise fatigue. With sequels not performing to expectations. But hey, that's 2016. It's not 2017. So
right, new year, new start.
Yeah, right. You know what? I'm just gonna go with 20 million. It's the 5th film in the series. What else can you expect?
It is the 5th film, but those films doesn't have to contend with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go with you as well. 20 million. Not because of franchise fatigue, but I think because there's still a couple of holdovers.
Right.
Like
Star Wars and Sing.
Yeah, Sing. Yeah, a couple others. So I think that will cut into its box office somewhat.
Right.
So 20 million.
Yeah. So I guess we're both around 20 million.
All right. Next is Hidden Figures. So it stars Octavia Spencer, Kirsten Dunst, Kevin Costner, Taraji Henson, about a woman mathematician or a group of women mathematician engineers back in during the space race. I don't know, back when? Is it the 70s?
Yeah, probably 60s, 70s.
So 60s, 70s. Anyway, it's about them and them making their mark in NASA and helping to launch, astronauts in space.
Right. It's getting great reviews, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. And this is the kind of film that needs great reviews, and it's getting it. It has already opened limited, right? Hidden Figures?
Yeah, opened limited on December 25th, Christmas. It pulled in 515K.
On how many screens?
Yeah, 25.
Oh, okay. So, with a per screen average of 20,000, which is solid. It's been performing pretty well on limited screens, so it's going wide this weekend. Great reviews. I'm thinking 13 million.
Okay. This movie is kind of hard to judge. It's one of these good movies.
It could be 15 million because of the African American audience, and this has a wider appeal than that. So it could surprise. It could surprise people.
It could surprise, like The Help. It opened to 26 million, right? It went on to make 169 million.
This could do 26 million. Could. I think my figure might be a little bit on the low end because this not only has the African American draw, it's also wider than that.
Yeah, but I don't see.
But then the subject matter.
So, but I don't see someone who could anchor this movie like The Help.
Well, The Help didn't have anyone who could anchor it.
It has Bryce Dallas Howard, Emma Stone.
But they play like supporting characters.
Right.
They're not like
contribute.
people who can open up movies to 25 million. Even Emma Stone, other than Spider-Man.
Okay, so you don't think Hidden Figure is The Help?
I'm saying it could be that. I'm saying it could be The Help. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, The Help figures, but that's why I'm saying I could be on the lower end with my 13 million.
Yeah, it has a really good predictor average when it's opening limited. But once you open it up to wide, I think it's gonna, I think it's gonna do well. Okay, you 13. How about this? I'll go with 15.
Oh, come on, Dan. If you're gonna go with something,
What?
You should go with 20. You're just adding a couple million above mine. All right, 13.
All right. Let's go with 20. Why not? I mean, it's only a couple million here and there, right?
All right.
Let's go with 20 million. Why not? It's the new year. Let's go all in on it. All right, 20 million for Hidden Figures.
Okay.
Even though, like you say, you might be low, I might be high, but it'll go somewhere in between.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it does, 20 million and above. I mean, sure, a movie about astronauts and numbers isn't very appealing, but the trailer has a crowd-pleasing, heartwarming feel to it. It has that double whammy of it appeals to the African American crowd who is always dependable, and it also has a wider appeal to other demographics.
True.
Yeah. So if it's just the African American crowd, that's like 13 to 15 million. But if it could get out of that, it could do 20 to 25 million.
All right, you want to change your figure?
No, I'll just leave it. Should we move on to what's next? Monster Calls.
Monster Calls. Yeah, Monster Calls. It expanded. It's about a boy whose mom is dying of a terminal disease, and he's dealing with life's challenges, and I guess a monster manifested himself from his one of his drawings. It's voiced by Liam Neeson.
Of all people.
Yeah, even though he's not doing January action movies anymore, he's doing the voice.
Right. This also opened during Christmas in limited screens, and it did really well. Pretty well. Actually, kind of okay. I'll take it back. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't do that well.
Yeah, it didn't do that well.
We only had a predicted average 7,000 or 8,000.
Yeah.
So not that good.
On 4 screens, usually these films will do like 20 to 30,000 would be solid, but 8,000 is just kind of okay for limited release. But it's well reviewed. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's based on a novel. It stars Sigourney Weaver, Felicity Jones, but the kid is played by Louis McDougall.
And at the foreign box office, it's already done 30 million. It's weird because the monster looks kind of like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy.
And also, it's a British movie, and it bears some similarity to the BFG.
Oh yeah, it does. No, this film did really well in Spain. It pulled in 28 million in Spain, according to Box Office Mojo.
I don't see this movie doing that well here.
Yeah, the initial figures from the limited release don't look promising.
So what are you thinking? I'm thinking about maybe 7 million.
Despite great reviews, I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of thinking the 5 million, 7 million range. So yeah, I agree with you there. Despite the great reviews.
Yeah, reviews doesn't mean they'll perform well at the box office, right? There's a couple of challenges with this movie, especially when it's opening limited, it doesn't have a great predictor average. That meaning that the mind share is not there, or people are just not interested in this movie in any way, right? In any case, right? And I said, movie that are British, with the exception of the Harry Potter movies, they usually don't pull in the box office we expect. Movies like Hook. What's that recent Peter Pan movie? With Hugh Jackman.
Oh.
The BFG even, right?
Right. Yeah. Plus, usually when we see a monster like that, we want them to be in space or fighting against other monsters like in Lord of the Rings. Not a story about again dealing with grief, that sort of thing. So yeah, 5 to 7.
All right, we don't have high expectations for this movie, so we'll see how it will do. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Liam Neeson is just a voice; he doesn't appear on screen. Mm-hmm. Sigourney Weaver and Felicity Jones, even though they were in some high-profile movies, I don't think for this type of movie they can pull in the crowds.
Yeah, right. Agree with you there.
Okay, all right. So we will come back next week and see how this movie did.
We're expecting Underworld to be the top film of the new releases, but hey, Hidden Figures can pull an upset. Can.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
So we'll see. We'll see. All right, see you guys next weekend.